Dans ce tutoriel, vous allez voir un aperçu des éléments clés du marketing digital. Tout d'abord, une introduction au marketing digital, puis la stratégie du marketing Internet, le référencement organique, le marketing de contenu, le trafic ciblé, le marketing par email, les médias sociaux, puis le reciblage marketing ou retargeting. Commençons par effectuer une introduction au marketing digital. Qu'est-ce que le marketing digital et comment en tirer le maximum? Malgré que le marketing digital existe depuis environ 15 ans, c'est toujours difficile de trouver des réponses à ces questions, n'est-ce pas? Certains vous disent que le marketing digital, c'est juste avoir un beau site web. De nos jours, cela signifie aussi qu'il doit être optimisé pour tous les supports. D'autres déclarent qu'il faut avoir une stratégie de référencement ou SEO, des techniques qui vous aident à avoir de meilleurs résultats dans les moteurs de recherche. Faites du PPC, pay-per-click, ou CPC pour coup par clic, vous diront d'autres personnes. Investissez dans des campagnes payantes pour complémenter votre référencement, sans parler des médias sociaux. Une croyance répandue, c'est qu'il vous suffit de créer du contenu et de le distribuer sur les médias sociaux. Alors, qui a raison? En réalité, personne n'est parfaitement correct. Ce qu'il vous faut vraiment, c'est une stratégie qui définit comment tous ces canaux vont résonner et interagir ensemble pour créer la synergie dont vous avez besoin. C'est le seul moyen pour atteindre vos objectifs, améliorer vos résultats et optimiser votre budget. Vous pensez que c'est tout? Non. Il s'agit d'analyser vos dépenses et vos revenus à la loupe et d'affiner votre stratégie marketing en conséquence en optimisant les variables de tous ces canaux. C'est tout cela qui constitue le marketing digital. Peut-être que vous êtes en train de penser à créer un site web ou à rénover celui que vous avez actuellement. Ne pensez pas juste à un site internet, songez plutôt à une réelle stratégie de marketing internet. Cela prendra juste 3 minutes. Tout d'abord, votre site reste la plateforme centrale de vos activités sur internet. Tous les canaux et autres outils marketing amènent les visiteurs sur votre plateforme. Et le but principal de ce site, c'est de transformer vos visiteurs en clients. On parle de conversion. Un mauvais marketing consiste à n'investir que pour faire venir davantage de visiteurs sur le site. Pourtant, vous n'avez pas besoin de visiteurs supplémentaires si vous ne parvenez pas à les transformer en clients. Plus votre site est efficace, et mieux il convertit vos visiteurs. Peu importe si vous vendez des produits physiques, proposez des services ou faites de l'immobilier. De nombreuses personnes croient faire du marketing internet, mais elles ne pensent qu'à la partie technique. Le résultat? Un site bourré d'informations. Mais la question est, les visiteurs sont-ils systématiquement transformés en clients? Est-ce ce qu'il vous faut? La réponse est non. Il vous faut connaître les bases du marketing Internet. Pas de panique, il s'agit juste de suivre les 7 phases du marketing Internet que voici. Phase 1, l'analyse. Commencez par récolter des informations. Soyez au clair sur votre audience cible, votre marché et le but de votre site. Phase 2, la planification. Planifiez la structure de votre site, son contenu et son adéquation avec le marché. Phase 3, l'ébauche. Ébauchez votre stratégie web, c'est-à-dire l'acquisition de visiteurs et comment les convertir en clients. Phase 4, la conversion. Définissez votre tunnel de conversion. Rédigez le contenu, le copywriting et créez les images et les vidéos nécessaires. Phase 5, l'acquisition de visiteurs. Établissez les sources de trafic, organiques ou payantes, effectuez votre stratégie médias sociaux et dressez la liste des médias hors ligne que vous allez employer. Phase 6. Testez le tout et vérifiez que vous ayez les bons visiteurs ciblés, un site qui convertit bien et une bonne rétention client. Phase 7. L'optimisation. Contrôlez vos indicateurs de performance, trafic, conversion, vente, réparez les bugs éventuels du site et améliorez continuellement l'existant. Comme vous pouvez le voir, les 7 phases du marketing Internet ne sont pas sorciers. N'oubliez pas que le plus important, c'est toujours d'obtenir un client satisfait. Ravir vos clients est la seule façon de maximiser vos résultats. Mettons que vous lanciez un site web avec un super design, une navigation facile et de bons produits. Toutefois, au fil du temps, le trafic de votre site internet reste faible, loin de vos objectifs. Où est le problème ? Le problème, c'est que chaque jour, des milliers d'autres sites sont lancés avec un contenu similaire. Après tout, lorsqu'un prospect effectue une recherche qui devrait le conduire sur votre site, le moteur de recherche va lui fournir de nombreuses alternatives. Et si vous n'êtes pas en tête des résultats, ce prospect ne vous remarquera pas. C'est là qu'intervient le référencement, qui a pour but de conduire votre site en tête des résultats des moteurs de recherche. Comment ? Il s'agit de créer du contenu de qualité, adapté avec des mots-clés optimisés. S'ils sont par exemple mal dispersés dans le texte, votre SEO ne va pas fonctionner. Placez vos mots-clés stratégiquement dans les titres et aux bons endroits. Ajoutez la bonne densité de mots-clés sans exagérer et les moteurs de recherche vont vous indexer plus facilement. Sans oublier de générer des liens externes provenant d'autres sites qui pointent vers le vôtre. Ainsi, ce sera clair pour les moteurs de recherche que votre site est populaire, intéressant et crédible. Mais attention, car les liens externes de sites peu recommandables sont contre-productifs. Il existe encore une foule d'autres paramètres pour optimiser votre référencement, comme l'engagement sur les réseaux sociaux de chacun de vos contenus notamment. En maîtrisant chaque paramètre, votre site remontera en tête des résultats de recherche. Mais le facteur le plus important, cela reste de créer un contenu en or, que votre audience adore. Sur Internet, le contenu est roi. Mais avant de vous en dire plus sur le marketing de contenu, vous devez comprendre comment le marketing traditionnel fonctionne. Habituellement, au centre du processus, il y a le message que vous voulez diffuser à vos clients potentiels. Et il y a différents moyens d'y parvenir, comme appeler vos prospects, la publicité TV ou radio, les mailings ou les annonces dans les journaux. Je ne vous dis pas que ces méthodes ne fonctionnent pas, elles marchent, mais elles ont des inconvénients. D'abord, il faut de gros budgets pour véhiculer vos messages aux gens, sans compter que ces gens ne font pas tous partie de votre cible. Donc seule une infime proportion va réagir. Et pour finir, certains prospects seront fâchés parce que le marketing traditionnel peut être perçu comme étant intrusif. Le marketing de contenu est complètement différent. Au centre du processus, il y a, devinez, le contenu. Cela consiste à créer quelque chose d'intéressant, d'utile et de divertissant. Cela peut être un article, un billet de blog, une vidéo ou une infographie. Quelque chose qui attire naturellement votre prospect lorsqu'il navigue sur Internet ou sur les réseaux sociaux. C'est moins cher, plus efficace et moins intrusif. Après tout, vous regardez du marketing de contenu, alors comment vous y prendre ? Il y a 4 étapes simples. Créer du contenu adapté à votre cible. Optimisez ce contenu pour les moteurs de recherche. Publiez-le et orchestrez la promotion de votre contenu. Sans oublier de placer un appel à l'action. C'est comme ça que le marketing de contenu forgera votre crédibilité, tout en faisant fructifier vos affaires. Lorsqu'ils observent leur trafic, la plupart des gens font une erreur fondamentale. Voici ce qu'ils considèrent: le nombre absolu de visiteurs, le nombre absolu de likes ou encore le nombre absolu de partages sur les réseaux sociaux. Mais ces indicateurs sont trompeurs. Voici pourquoi. Tous les visiteurs ne se valent pas. Lorsque vous avez une activité commerciale sur Internet, cela ne sert à rien d'avoir une foule de visiteurs sur votre site web. Comme le disait Gary Albert, si vous avez un stand de hamburgers, votre meilleur avantage, c'est d'avoir une foule de gens affamés qui adorent le fast-food. Vous n'avez pas besoin de ceux qui n'ont pas faim. Vous n'avez pas besoin de ceux qui cherchent de la haute gastronomie. Vous voulez ceux qui ont faim maintenant et qui feraient n'importe quoi pour ingurgiter vos hamburgers.
Sur Internet, c'est pareil. Rien ne sert de calculer le nombre absolu de visiteurs, de likes ou de partages, car ces chiffres ne disent rien sur la qualité de votre audience. Voici comment faire la part des choses. Mon conseil, c'est de mesurer votre trafic comme si les visiteurs cherchaient une destination. Si vous êtes à Bordeaux, les gens qui vont à Paris ne vous intéressent pas, même s'il y a plus de trafic qui se rend en Île-de-France. C'est tentant de cibler ces gens-là, mais ils veulent aller à Paris, pas à Bordeaux. Alors, oubliez-les. Vous voudrez donc avoir du trafic qui sait où il veut aller, c'est-à-dire des visiteurs qui recherchent vos produits. Idéalement, ce visiteur-là vous connaît déjà, et mieux encore, il a confiance en vous. Il y a donc 3 catégories de trafic à considérer. Première catégorie de visiteurs. Ces visiteurs qui cherchent une solution similaire à ce que vous offrez et qui vous connaissent. Le feu de signalisation est vert. Ce trafic est chaud bouillant. Il est prêt à être converti en vente. Vous pourrez envoyer ce trafic directement sur des propositions commerciales spéciales comme des promotions avec d'excellents résultats à la clé. Seconde catégorie de visiteurs. Des visiteurs qui cherchent simplement une solution ou des produits similaires aux vôtres, mais qui ne vous connaissent pas encore. Le feu de signalisation sera orange pour les laisser passer. C'est du trafic chaud. Il s'agira de conduire ce visiteur sur des contenus qui l'éduquent sur vos produits ou vos services. L'erreur à ne pas commettre, c'est d'amener ce trafic immédiatement sur des propositions commerciales. Pourquoi ? Parce que ces gens-là ne vous font pas encore confiance. Il faut les apprivoiser. Vous n'iriez pas faire une demande de mariage à froid à des inconnus, même si vous savez qu'ils cherchent un partenaire, n'est-ce pas ? Vous commenceriez par une phase de séduction. C'est pareil avec ce trafic chaud. Vous devrez l'apprivoiser, le séduire et l'instruire sur la qualité de vos produits avant de lui faire une proposition commerciale. Car tout engagement, commercial ou privé, nécessite de la confiance. Troisième catégorie de trafic. Enfin, cette troisième catégorie, c'est le reste du trafic. Ce visiteur ne cherche pas nécessairement une solution. Souvent, il ignore même qu'il a un problème. Ces gens ne cherchent pas vos produits ou vos services. Le feu est rouge. Ce trafic majoritaire est à exclure. Il ne convertira pas. Encore une fois, c'est tentant de vouloir aller le courtiser, aussi tentant qu'inutile. En définitive, oubliez les indicateurs de visiteurs absolus. Cherchez des visiteurs qui veulent votre solution et apprivoisez-les. Ce sera votre meilleur moyen de faire un carton. Voici comment le marketing par email peut concourir à développer vos affaires. Mais avant de commencer, laissez-moi vous raconter une petite anecdote à propos des emails. Le courrier électronique remonte à loin, jusque dans les années 60. C'est même plus vieux qu'Internet. Alors oui, cela existe depuis très longtemps. Et pourtant, je ne dirais pas que c'est vieux, j'appellerais cela plutôt traditionnel. Alors comment est-ce que cette forme de communication, établie depuis longtemps, se compare aux médias sociaux ? Pour commencer, il y a toujours des personnes qui n'aiment pas les médias sociaux. Ils ne sont pas actifs sur les réseaux sociaux. Ils n'ont même pas de compte. Par contre, tout le monde a une adresse email. De plus, la plupart des autres outils qui existent sont bien adaptés pour faire venir de nouveaux clients, mais pas vraiment lorsqu'il s'agit de créer une relation avec eux. Par contre, le marketing par email peut être employé dans les deux cas. Voici comment. Imaginez qu'un cadeau, une remise ou les frais de port soient offerts à tout prospect qui vous procure son adresse email. Vous pouvez lui faire parvenir un courriel directement avec ce que vous lui avez promis. Et boum, vous voilà avec un nouveau client. Mais le marketing par email est particulièrement efficace pour maintenir la relation avec ce client. Vous avez son adresse email et vous pouvez le contacter quand vous voulez. Lui faire parvenir vos nouveaux produits, les promos de la semaine, d'autres informations ou des offres ciblées. Bref, suffisamment de valeur pour que le client revienne et continue à acheter chez vous. Maintenant, vous savez comment le marketing par email peut développer vos affaires. Mais ce n'est pas tout. Il vous faut donc développer votre liste d'emails, créer un calendrier d'envoi, générer de l'attention sur vos emails et automatiser tout le processus d'emailing. Tout ceci sans spammer vos clients afin de bénéficier au maximum du marketing par email. Les médias sociaux sont des outils formidablement puissants pour promouvoir vos affaires. Pourquoi ? Tout d'abord, leur couverture est très vaste. L'audience des médias sociaux, ce sont des milliards d'utilisateurs. Et aujourd'hui, vous êtes capable d'atteindre facilement votre cœur de cible. Ensuite, le retour d'information. Vous pouvez mesurer les commentaires, les reposts, les tweets, les j'aime et ainsi de suite. Vous pouvez mesurer les réactions de votre audience instantanément. Cela signifie que vous avez une meilleure compréhension du sentiment et des désirs de vos clients potentiels. Vous pouvez donc orienter les préférences. Le trafic ciblé. Vous pouvez obtenir du trafic ciblé sur votre site web via les médias sociaux. Votre référencement dans les moteurs de recherche en sera amélioré. Les ventes. Les médias sociaux ne permettent pas toujours de vendre vos produits directement, mais ils les encouragent néanmoins. Ils concourent à véhiculer l'image de votre entreprise et de vos prestations avec plus d'affaires à la clé. Et enfin, le coût. Aucun autre outil ne vous permet d'atteindre une audience aussi large avec le relativement petit budget qu'il vous faudra sur les médias sociaux. Les médias sociaux peuvent faire décoller votre entreprise à condition de les employer de manière stratégique, de créer de la valeur pour votre audience qui à son tour fera votre promotion. C'est cela la mécanique des médias sociaux. Le reciblage ou retargeting, aussi appelé remarketing. Comment ça marche ? Voyons. Imaginez un prospect qui visite votre site e-commerce. Malheureusement, la grande majorité des prospects vont quitter votre site sans acheter. Les raisons peuvent être: c'est leur première visite, ils doutent encore de votre crédibilité, ils sont distraits et ne finissent pas leur achat. Ils ne trouvent pas ce qu'ils cherchent. Ils ajournent l'achat et oublient votre site. C'est là que le reciblage intervient, grâce à des cookies. Non, pas ces cookies-là, mais ceux-ci. À chaque fois qu'un prospect visite l'une de vos pages, ce petit code est enregistré dans leur ordinateur, tablette ou téléphone. Plus tard, les plateformes d'annonces publicitaires peuvent reprendre cette information, même si le prospect visite un site différent, effectue une recherche, lit un blog, interagit sur les médias sociaux ou regarde des vidéos. Peu importe ce que font vos prospects le jour suivant, vous pouvez les atteindre avec une annonce ciblée, comme « Hey, toujours intéressé par ce téléphone ?» ou « Vous vouliez acheter le parapluie bleu, que pensez-vous du jaune ?» Le but est de leur rappeler votre site e-commerce et de les ramener afin qu'ils terminent leur achat. Vous saisissez le potentiel ? Ces campagnes sont efficaces parce que le ciblage est précis, l'offre calibrée et vous pouvez suggérer d'autres produits. Vous faites croître votre affaire mécaniquement. C'est simple, vous annoncez, vous configurez le cookie, vous planifiez et vous budgétisez. Tout cela autour d'une stratégie de reciblage remarketing axée sur le prospect ciblé, le produit qu'il recherche, les plateformes adéquates et votre site e-commerce. C'est cela qui constitue votre reciblage ou retargeting.
Really excited to finally share this video with you. It took me quite a while to get everything right, but I think you're going to be very happy with the end result. So you may be confused seeing a 1-hour video with the title simplified in it. Don't be. Just to set your expectations clearly, this video has a lot of substance in it. It's not one of those cooking under 3 minutes videos. I'm going to cover pretty much all the aspects of project management, be it project lifecycle, process groups, knowledge areas, work breakdown structure, scheduling, cost. So it's basically a 10-hour course condensed into one. So my mission with this mini course is to make project management very easy to understand for you. Because essentially, project management is fun, but more importantly, it's very easy. It's not a profession on its own. It's not like accounting or auditing or even consulting. Project management is a complementary discipline that helps you run your projects very easily. As simple as that. And the best part is pretty much all professionals, be it an accountant or a chemist, can benefit from it. So who is this video for? This video is for you if you want to learn how to manage your projects at work. So it's applicable to every single professional I can think of. I've never seen any professional in my 10-year management consulting career who hasn't run a project. It just so happens that sometimes they don't know they were managing projects, right? But they were projects indeed. So if you're looking for a simple enough framework to understand project management and implement it at work, then you're on the right place. By the end of this video, I'm confident that you'll be able to add project management as a skill in your resume. Also, this video is for you if you're preparing for your PMP exam or CAPM exam. Once you finish this mini course, the PMBOK guide will be a lot easier to understand. See, the PMBOK guide is over 500 pages long. It's a very, very long and quite boring book, I must say. So obviously I can't share everything in this short video that exists in PMBOK guide, but if you watch this video without skipping, the PMBOK guide, Project Management Body of Knowledge, will be so easy to follow for you because it's all about understanding the fundamentals. Everything else just becomes very easy to follow. See, when I took my PMP exam, I think around 6 years ago now, or 5 years ago, I almost aced it. I scored one of the highest points at that time. And the only reason why I scored so high was not because I spent hundreds of hours studying. On the contrary, I just understood the fundamentals. And once you understand the building blocks, as I said earlier, everything else becomes so easy to follow. So I suggest you watch the entire video without skipping. But if you're interested in learning just certain elements only, then you can look at the description box for the index of the video. Good, so let's get started. What is even a project? It definitely has a sexy tone to it, right? Project. I wonder how it sounds in French. Projet. So here's the definition. Project is a temporary endeavor to create a unique solution. Yeah, but that's operations. No. The difference between a project and operations is fairly simple. A project ends, so it's temporary. You implement your project, you close it, you create a unique product or service or whatever the outcome you wanted, then you're done. Whereas in operations, it's an ongoing effort. It's repetitive. So you may have also heard about the terms program and portfolio. Let me just quickly explain them here as well. Program is multiple projects put together, combined. And portfolio is similarly multiple programs put together. So it's basically project, program, and then portfolio. Now, before I go further and dive deep, you need to understand something very crucial. To run any project, you need two methodologies. The first one is a project lifecycle, and the second one is project management process. Most people confuse these two, okay? And if these are not clear, you can kiss that PMP certification goodbye. It's absolutely amazing how many content creators in YouTube or elsewhere confuse these two. They are not interchangeable. You cannot afford to confuse a project lifecycle with a project management process. But don't worry, I'm going to make it very, very simple for you. So let's start with the project lifecycle. Project lifecycle is unique to a project, to an industry, to your needs. Is highly customizable. Think of it like this. A human development is a project, isn't it? So your life cycle is conceiving, birth, childhood, then teenagehood. Teenagehood? Is that a word? Teenaging? Whatever. So adulthood and then death, right? Easy stuff, right? So now if it was an IT project, I'm not an IT, but it would probably look something like this. It would be high-level design, then detailed design, then coding and testing, installation, and then finally probably a turnover if it was done for a client. So this is project life cycle. And here's probably where the confusion comes from. The term cycle, that's what's confusing, because after you die, you don't get to be conceived again and be born again. I think, but who knows? So, or once you hand over the product to the client, you don't get to be, designing that again. So it's not actually a cycle. It's just a confusing term they use. It's sequential. It's a sequential steps of various phases of a project. And these phases, I'm going to repeat it again, are unique to your own project and your needs. So you create your own cycle. So a project life cycle may have one phase or multiple phases, like the examples I gave earlier. There's no single way to define the ideal structure for a project. For example, one company may treat a feasibility study as first phase of a project. Another may treat that as a third phase of a project, and another may not even include it at all. It's custom made. I know I said this multiple times, custom made, but you'll soon understand why I had to repeat it multiple times. Just be patient, just bear with me. Now let's talk about the second element that you need to run any project, and that's the project management process, your process groups. See, if you're following PMI's project management body of knowledge, then your process groups aren't quite customizable. So you can customize the processes, but not really the groups. We're going to talk about that soon. So we have 5 process groups to learn here. We have initiation, we have planning, we have executing, then we have monitoring and controlling, and finally closing. These are kind of set in stone. You can't really play around with them that much. Now, here's where all the confusion arises. For those of you who are interested in taking a PMP test, I will now tell you the single biggest reason why most test takers fail. And it's all because of confusing this. This is what I'm about to share. So, ready? Okay, remember how we talked about that the fact that project life cycle is highly customizable? I bored you to death with it. Customizable. So now what we do in real life is, for small projects, we really dumb things down. We simplify things. Instead of attaching process groups to every single phase of a project life cycle, conceiving process groups, like development process groups, initiation, planning, execution, MNC, and closing, and then instead of doing that, in real life, we just attach the process groups to a single phase project lifecycle. Now, I hope this is clear. This makes things really, really easy to run the project for us. It's less complication. Why make things more complicated than they should be, right? There's so much paperwork involved, which you'll soon see. A lot of paperwork. So, your project lifecycle isn't initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling and closing. If you don't get this right, I guarantee you that you will fail the exam. Now we're going to talk about the process groups. And while I'm explaining that, I will also simultaneously run a project for you to demonstrate how it works in real life. But before I get there, I want to share something very quickly with you. It's about PMP. If you're looking to get a PMP or CAPM degree so you can advance in your career and get better jobs, don't do that. It won't really help you as much as you think. Learn project management. It's awesome. It's an incredible field. It's an incredible complementary practice. Everybody should learn project management. But don't you think that by getting a piece of paper, I have it here, like this, that you're going to, or this, that you're going to advance in your career, don't do that. It's not going to work, because every company has their own methodology and have their own terminologies and frameworks. Instead of spending hundreds of hours and a lot of money on a certificate that you won't even use, I suggest you check out my LIG program and let that program show you how you can achieve the career you deserve. It sounded a bit like an advertisement break, but it's not. I'm very passionate about my LIG program, and the results are overwhelmingly positive. So you can go to thecareermastery.com and you'll see a link to register to LIG if it is active by the time you're watching this. Because as I said, most multinational firms have their own in-house methodology to follow. So you'll have to unlearn a lot of the things to learn their way. For example, my employer, PwC Consulting, has a complex methodology for every single work we deliver. It's the best in the world and miles better than PMI's framework or Prince2 methodology. So your future employer will have its own methodology as well. But still, don't confuse these two. Learn the fundamentals of project management. Learn everything I'll share in this video. Project management is awesome. It's an incredible practice, but a certificate? Not so much. It's highly debatable. Okay? So, let me continue. Oh, and one final point on this. I have a pretty amazing bonus and a guarantee. So if you don't get the results or the jobs you want within 30 days, I will personally work with you free of charge to get you to where you need to be. Okay, now sorry for the break. I felt compelled to share that. Now, let's start with the first process group, and that's initiation. To make things very grounded, I will use the construction of this boat as an example. I hope you can see this. It is a huge, huge boat. So yeah, this is the boat I did, I think last year. And I think it's going to be an awesome example to run this session with you. I mean, I could give you examples from my own work history. Obviously, as a manager at PwC Consulting, PricewaterhouseCoopers, I ran hundreds of projects, but it would create a few problems. One, I'm under strict client confidentiality agreements, and two, we don't use PMI's framework. So I'm going to teach you PMI's framework here, so it won't really be very relevant. I think using this boat, designing and manufacturing it with all the paperwork involved, it'll be awesome. So for initiation process group, you have two important processes. The first process is that you develop a project charter. And the second process is you identify stakeholders. Now, let's start with project charter. So, project charter is a fairly simple document outlining a few things. It's like mini project plan. Very simple one though. Essentially, you're finding an answer to why you're doing what you are doing. So in my case, if I have to develop a project charter for building this boat, it would include my objectives, scope, rough idea for the cost and time if I want to, and then key stakeholders and key milestones. That's pretty much it. At the initiation stage, you don't want the document to be very detailed. See, this is only like 5-6 slides. It's fairly simple. Speaking of later stages, can you do me a favor? If you like the video so far, can you please subscribe to my channel? Because if you don't, YouTube will not show my future videos to you. So please do that. Let's continue. In your case, your project charter may be as simple as explaining why you consider the expansion to foreign markets, right? Why you are considering building that new factory. I'll repeat once more. This is not the time to go into huge details. Talk about the business case and maybe high-level project objectives and major deliverables and the roles and responsibilities. But don't go into too much details. Then you would ask, okay, then why do it? Why do it? If it's not detailed nor comprehensive, if it's just a couple pages, it doesn't have much information. Why you want to waste time to prepare it? And if you ask that, it would be a very smart question. The reason why we do that is to have a buy-in, to have the permission, because it's a checkpoint, right? We want the support from the leadership to spend more time and maybe more money to properly plan it. As a principal, are you, my dear project sponsor, are you fine with me exploring this project a bit more? Can you sign off on this? It's a checkpoint. Your project sponsor may not want this project at all in the first place. Why waste time? If they say, no, you don't start planning. And my friends, planning is no easy task. Planning is difficult. So it's a great opportunity for the senior leadership to kill the project early on before you spend so much time planning it. Maybe they don't want to expand into that market. Maybe they have their own reasons. So they kill it off early on. But I want to open a deep note here and contradict myself a little. What you need to do, or how much detail that goes into the charter, heavily depends on your project needs, project scale, your industry. So if a project is let's say creating International Space Station, I mean, obviously your initiation will include a lot more details. It'll be almost like high-level planning. And the reason for that is because planning such a project, the International Space Station, is over $10 billion, just the planning. So obviously it will require you to present a lot more information to your project sponsor to get an approval for a $10 billion planning, right? So far so good? Good. Let's move on. The second process for initiation process group is stakeholder identification. At this stage, you will again keep it very simple. You will not categorize all the stakeholders based on their influence and power. You will do that later. Now, as I mentioned before, we just want to know whether we should proceed or not. It's a checkpoint. So all you do is create an Excel list and list down all the project stakeholders. Not this one. I'll just put it on the screen. So in my case, my stakeholders will be my wife. She'll be my sponsor, right? Then my neighbors, because I'll do a lot of hammering and drilling, so I'll make a lot of noise. Therefore, I need to include them as my stakeholders as well. For most projects, your primary stakeholder is your project sponsor. Who is your sponsor? Who gives you the go or no go, right? Who is the project manager? Are you the project manager? Who are going to be part of your project team? Who are going to be project management team, right? Project management team is different than project team, right? Now we have the project charter and the project stakeholder register. It's now time to move on to planning. Of course, provided that you secure the approvals, you get that sign off, right? Now we have initiated the project and we get our approvals. Let's plan it. Planning is a lot more detailed and comprehensive than initiation. And we're going to need to talk about a lot of details and knowledge areas. So I'm going to introduce you to certain knowledge areas. So I suggest you take a break now, pause the video, go get a cup of coffee, refresh yourself, and come back when you're ready. Or you can just bookmark this video and watch it whenever you're on top of your focus. Okay? Good, let's start. So with planning, we are looking to find answers to three main questions. Okay? So the first question is, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? How to know when the project is done? This particular one is very important because in real life, most projects are never done. They almost become operations. They're never done. So at the end of the planning process, you'll end up with a comprehensive project plan. And this project plan will include a few items. So it'll include the requirements, it'll include scope, work breakdown structure, or as we call it, WBS. We'll have schedule, some sort of a timeline. Then we'll have cost and budget and quality. So for those PMP takers, let me put a disclaimer here. The PMBOK guide, with its 500 pages of glory, it has obviously a lot more knowledge areas, but I'm simplifying things for you here. So if you plan on taking the PMP test, just make sure you properly read this whole thing, okay? Because all I'm trying to do is simplifying things and make you understand the fundamentals. So when you read this, you'll be able to understand it very clearly. But just keep this in mind. I am leaving a few things out because this video isn't only for PMP takers, but for anyone who just wants to learn the fundamentals of project management. Good, so let's get going. The first process we have is collecting requirements, understanding what stakeholders want. What do they really want? I mean, we wrote this in the project charter, right? So what we're going to do is we'll just take this project charter and give it more details and specifications, right? And then it will become this. See, this isn't a very easy task in real life. I mean, collecting requirements supposedly is the easiest part, but the difficult part is maintaining your sanity. Because the moment you start gathering requirements, then everybody's going to want to have the best of everything without consideration for budget, quality, or schedule. And they'll have contradicting requirements within themselves, right? There'll be clashes. And especially at this stage, you don't even know the budget or the quality or schedule yet. I mean, you have a rough idea, but you don't know the details. So you kind of gather the requirements based on your assumptions. And that's no easy task, right? If my wife comes up to me and says, hey, let's buy you a new car, it's time, she asks, what car do you want? I'm going to say, I want Porsche 911 GT3. I won't consider the family budget or the maintenance expenses. I'll just say what I want. That's how it's in project management as well. When you ask what your stakeholders want, they'll shoot for the moon. They'll want the best. So as a project manager, you have to keep things sort of on the leash and explain people that there are always trade-offs in life. Just a small tip. When you're collecting requirements, there are so many methods available to you, right? I mean, you can do one-on-one interviews, you can apply Delphi technique, you can do nominal group technique or other methods, all those fancy sounding names. But if you ask me, and if you can, just stick to the good old meeting, just get everyone in a room or in a teleconference and gather the requirements collectively. If you do interviews one by one, then you'll have a lot of contradicting requirements at your hand, right? Get everyone together, let them argue, let them fight, but at the end, you'll have your requirements set in stone. Next process is defining the scope, right? Like this, it's the scope. What does scope do? Scope makes you see certain things clearer, but then exclude other things, right? That's exactly what it is in project management as well. So to do our scope, we need a few documents. We need the project charter, and then, where is my charter? Yeah. We need project charter, and then we need the project requirements document, and then any risk assumptions and constraints, whatever you have, that'll all help you define the scope. Now, defining the scope is one of the most important processes, because what happens in reality is weak project managers include everything in the project requirements document, right? Or make it very vague, also in the project scope. So as a result, your project plan just becomes an impossible plan to execute because your scope goes into your project plan, right? So if you do a weak job with setting your scope, or if you're really vague, then you're not going to be able to execute it. Try not to go overboard. Make things very clear. So your project scope statement should or may include your project scope, and then your deliverables. I have it over here. Your project justification, your business case, and success criteria, right? So after the project scope, now let me introduce you to a concept called scope baseline. What is this now? Scope baseline is composed of three things. So you have your scope statement, okay? Then we need work breakdown structure. I'll refer to it as WS from now on. Okay, this is your WS. We're going to do that now. And after that, we're going to need WBS dictionary. And again, we're going to talk about that soon. So, okay, let's move on with WBS. Now I want to stop you for a second and make an announcement here. You can't afford to misunderstand WBS. It is very important. Whatever project management methodology or framework you use, this is essential. Okay? Very, very important. So, if you want to, again, feel free to take another break, go get some fresh air, and come back when you're ready. Good. Before I start creating a WBS for the boat project, let me tell you what it is. The WBS breaks the project down into smaller and more manageable pieces. It's a top-down effort, right? You basically just decompose your deliverables, and then we call them work packages. Now, I want to highlight one more important thing here. If you're strictly following PMI's framework, then work packages have to be things. They can't be actions. They need to be deliverables, things, right? They can be documents or building or things. My vocabulary is failing me here, but I hope you understand. So, in practice though, so the things is for PMI, but for everyone else, you can do a hybrid model, right? It can be work packages and then activities and anything. So whatever suits your need. Okay, so how deep you go? I mean, like how many layers do you want to go? Here's the question. Can you answer this question? Can you confidently estimate the cost and time requirements of that work package? Can you say it'll take 1 week or $1,000? Can you answer that question? Because if you can't, then you need to break it down further to activity level until you can make some cost and time assumptions. For example, when I look at this boat, I can't say how long it will take me to finish it, but I can estimate how long it will take to laminate it or do the woodwork, do the frames. So go as deep as you need to go, and then you're going to roll up and estimate the cost and the time, but that's for later. So let's do it. Let's do the WBS. So you start with the project name as level 1, and then you segment your project into various work components. So in my case, my segments are, I have design, I have manufacturing, I have electronics, then I have the rigging, the rig. Rigging is the mast sails and the shrouds and the whole thing. And then I have testing. So then we need to put labels on them, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Now, this is still too high level, right? I mean, when I look at the graph at that stage, can I estimate the cost and schedule? No, probably not. This means we now need to break it down further. Now, for this project, a project this small, I don't need sub-segments, but keep in mind that in your project, you may need to put in sub-segments to break it down even more clearly. Now, okay, let me start attaching my work packages. These are the important bits. My work packages are, so I need to find an actual IMOCA 60 design. And then what else? After that, I need to adjust the design for scaling down, because you can't just take a design for a 20-meter boat and then manufacture a 1.5-meter version of it. So it won't sail well, it won't float well. So that means I need to increase the volume. Then after that, I need to finalize the design. And this is actually where I actually design it or modify the design I have. So this is actually where I make it ready for manufacturing, right? So for manufacturing, my work packages are, I need to decide on the materials, and then I need to procure them. Then I need the frames. I need frame for the deck and the hull. So what else? I'm confused. Then I need to laminate it. I need to again laminate the hull and the deck. And then I need to assemble them together, the hull part and the deck. Then later on, the cosmetics. So for cosmetics, I need to do a lot of sanding, and after sanding, I will do the painting. And I think that's pretty much it. And as per the electronics, first package is again, decide on the components and procure them. I'd like to merge them under one work package, so I can easily estimate the cost and time investment at this level. I don't need to break it down further. And then the second work package is assembly. Then move on to rigging. The rigging is, again, as I said, the mast, the boom, the sails and the lines and shrouds, everything, So For that, again, I need to decide on the items, and then I need to procure them, and then I need to install them, assemble them. Yeah. And finally, the last one is testing. So I need to do the testing for the electronics, the rigging, and the hull. And then I need to do a pool trial, and finally sea trial. Okay, now we finished creating our WBS. Now I want to talk about the importance of this document once more. See, everything happens after WBS. In the planning process, for example, the cost, schedule, risks, everything is calculated by using this chart. We do not calculate the cost or the schedule for a project as a whole. We do that at work package level using the WBS. Now, before we move on to the other processes, I want to remind you of something that I mentioned earlier. Do you remember the scope baseline? Do you remember what it was consisted of? Let me just remind you once more. It's the project scope, WBS, and WBS dictionary. So now we covered the first two, right? Now it's time for the third one, WBS dictionary. And once we have it now, then the project scope baseline is completed. Okay, so what is this dictionary thingy? Let me just find it as well. So imagine this. If we don't define these work packages in WBS properly, then we are prone to a scope creep. Now, what is scope creep? Scope creep is basically scope extending its boundaries. Remember the Porsche 911 GT3 that I wanted from my wife? So that Porsche 911 GT3 becomes GT3 RS, basically a higher model. So if you don't control and keep the leash of scope, then it keeps on getting expanded and expanded, right? Your stakeholders are going to want to stretch its limits. And to prevent it, what you do is you create a dictionary for every single WBS item. What does that mean? Like what are the boundaries of it? What do you mean by work package, hull framed, right? So you put boundaries around it. You explain it. By that way, nobody can stretch it. Okay. For those of you who are preparing for a PMP test or a CAPM test, you'll know that there are a few other knowledge areas like human resources and communications and risk management, procurement, and a couple others. So I'm not going to cover them here for a few reasons. One, I don't think they need explanation. Most of them are fairly easy to understand once you read the PMBOK. They're very intuitive. You don't need me to teach you about procurement or human resources. The only exception, in my opinion, is risk management. See, that's not very easy. But I won't talk about risk management here because I will probably have a dedicated video on that later, maybe next month. And I don't want to spend an hour running risk management simulations here, the Monte Carlo and things. So, plus for most of you, like 99% of you running small projects, you don't factor in risk management anyways. I mean, you're aware of the risks, but you don't go out of your way to spend a week on preparing risk registers, right? So instead, I'll focus on, in my opinion, more essential ones here. So let's continue with time management, the schedule. And what we do is we start giving estimates for how long a particular work package will take. Here's an important point for you. If you can't confidently estimate how long a particular work package will take to complete, then you need to do what? You need to break it down further, right? So let's pick one. Materials decided as part of manufacturing. Okay, do I know how long it takes? Yeah, I know it. So I don't need to break it down further. And once you're done estimating these, the other fun part starts, and that's putting them in a sequence. Now, for PMP takers, you need to resort to PMBOK guide for boring details of finish to start, start to finish, and calculations of critical path. For all of you, for the rest of you, you don't need to, because I'm going to show you a lot easier way. So in practice, we do all of those with the help of MS Projects. MS Projects is very easy and it's an awesome program. But you don't even need MS Projects for most of your projects. All you need at this stage is a Gantt chart, however you say it. So Gantt chart is very easy to use. It makes things so simple. And it's very easy to list your activities or work packages in a suitable time scale. You know, each work package or activity is represented by a bar that shows us the start date, the duration, the length of it is the duration, and the end date of the activity. So it's very simple. You can use MS Projects, you can use MS Excel, or even manually on a PowerPoint if you want to. So it really depends on how complex your project is, right? So for me, and probably for you too, all you need is just a PowerPoint. You don't even need Excel. You don't need to run calculations or anything. Just manually do it on PowerPoint. And that's how I'm going to do, demonstrating how I did it for you, if I could speak. So, okay, so if you're still with me by this point, please consider subscribing to my channel, because as I said, if you don't, YouTube will not show my future videos to you. In fact, you can even hit that bell icon so you'll be immediately notified of my future releases. Oh, you can also download all the templates I use in this mini course from the link down in the description. You may need to register though. I'm not sure, I haven't figured out how to do it yet. So, sorry, I digress. Let's get back to the topic. If you subscribed already, let me now talk about 3 things very quickly that you'll hear a lot. 1. Fast tracking. See, fast tracking a project means performing more activities in parallel. So you see more bars along the same vertical axis, right? The other term you hear a lot is called project crashing. Crashing in simple terms is shortening the duration of the activities by adding more resources. For example, if 2 workers finish the project in 30 days, then how long does it take for 4 workers to finish it? Obviously 15, and if you said 60, please go get some fresh air. You need a break. So this is called project crashing, but it comes at a cost, right? Cost of additional resources, additional money. So have you seen those, huge towers being built in China in 30 days, right? You can see their footage. They're amazing. This is what they do. They just crash every single work package because they don't have a labor shortage and probably no money shortage either. So that's how they do it. Now, let's move on with the costs. We're done with the schedule. All right, cost management. Now, for this piece, we'll take out our beloved WBS again. But instead of putting durations, now we'll give our cost assumptions. Fairly simple, right? So we'll do a bottom-up estimating and then start giving our cost assumptions for each work package. Again, very similar to what we did for schedule management. And once you have all the costs added up, for this you may need to use Excel, so you can use the easy calculations. PowerPoint won't do fine here. So anyway, once you have all the costs added up, the direct costs, indirect costs, variable and fixed costs if you want to, then you can create a budget. For those PMP takers, keep in mind that there are a few more steps for you. For example, you need your risk register and risk contingencies to be included in your budget. Not just that actually, you also need your management reserves. So the way it works is you roll up, right? Get your cost estimates for activities, if you included activities, then work packages, right? Then you'll have a rough idea of the project cost estimate, okay? And once you have it, you include the contingency estimates, which comes from your risk studies. You include that, right? And that gives you your cost baseline. Then you include the management reserves and voila, you have your cost budget. That's pretty much it. And as I said, for 99% of us, we don't really do that in practice. We roll up the cost of each work package and then put a 20% contingency reserve and we're done. So no need to complicate anything that we don't have to. we're done with planning. All right, so far we're done with the initiation, we're done with planning, and now it's the fun part, the execution, It's the doing part. It's where we execute things. It's the fun part. Now let's do it. The purpose of the executing process is to complete the work we defined in project management plan. Meet the objectives. This is where we do the work. Your focus now is, as a project manager, I'm assuming you take the project manager role, is to manage your team, follow processes, conflict resolution. Your job is essentially guiding the team to stick to the plan you created with your team. So if you've done a good job with planning, then your execution is going to be so easy. Although it takes the longest, but it's just like playing with Legos. You just put them in their places. But if you haven't done a good job with the planning, then your execution is going to be a nightmare. So in execution, if you're not the one doing all the execution work, like myself in this case, I'm the one who's doing it, you need to constantly manage the expectations of stakeholders. You need to protect your scope, right? I talked about the importance of this before, because you'll quickly realize that the stakeholders will want you to gold plate. Do you know what that is, the gold plating? So it's in simple terms, making changes to a project that are outside of your scope. Instead of getting the grade B quality material, as you agreed, your stakeholders now want you to get grade A quality. Now, this is a problem because you didn't factor that in your budget or time estimates. So, as a project manager, you need to prevent scope creep. Protect your scope. Your scope is like your national flag, You protect it against all unnecessary change requests. You resist. If they're really, really legitimate ones, you can evaluate it and put it in consideration if it's really valid with a change request, but don't just take it as is. Don't say, okay, no problem. For those PMP takers or CAPM takers, pay attention to change requests and how it's done. Now this was the execution. The next process group is called monitoring and controlling process group. Monitoring and controlling means measuring the performance of your project against the plan, managing your change requests, and making sure you're hitting your KPIs if you have included them in the first place. An important aspect here, monitoring and controlling starts with the execution process group, so they run in parallel. So you monitor and control when you're already executing it. I mean, it makes sense, right? How can you monitor once you finish the execution? It's common sense. So then what do you monitor and control then, right? So you monitor your scope. You make sure no scope creep happens. You monitor your schedule and forecast if you think there'll be delays. This is particularly easy to see because you already have your project time plan, your project schedule. Remember, we even put it on the Gantt chart, right? And then you monitor your costs, your quality, your risks, and your procurement. Is procurement happening all right? Are the contractors happy? So this is fairly simple. For example, you finished a particular work package, right? And then you can just always look back and verify if you were within the allowance. I mean, if you weren't, then you look for the root causes. What happened? Why did we exceed the budget or the schedule? Then obviously you solve those problems so they won't repeat. And you make sure you document everything. For PMP takers, please pay extra attention to earned value calculations here. It becomes particularly important in this stage. Now I want to quickly touch on earned value. So earned value is the total project budget multiplied by the percentage complete of the project. For example, you have budgeted $1 million for the whole project, let's say, okay? And you have finished 20% of it. So your earned value is $200,000. Now, this is primarily used for construction and software projects and an important concept by PMI, right? But in real life, it doesn't hold much value other than few industries like the construction and the IT. And the reason is the value gained cannot always be assessed along the progression of the project. What does this even mean? It means it's not always a linear progression. Most of the time, the actual value of a project goes like this. So it's not linear, it's a power curve. Most projects show exponential growth instead of a linear one. And they get compounded results every month. And their calculation is a lot more difficult than a simple y equals to mx plus b. To calculate it, you need a growth decay formula. So it's a very complex one. And no project manager is going to run that every week just to calculate the earned value. This one is very similar to how we calculate interests, compound interests. So, okay, before I bore you to death, let's move to closing process group. Actually, no. I want to explain this just a bit more. The exponential growth theory, because I believe you'll benefit from it. So let's take my YouTube channel, for example. Let's call this project 100,000 subscribers. That's what I'd love to achieve. At the moment, I have about 19,000 subscribers. So let's say I get 500 subscribers per week with 20 videos, right? Total 20 videos. So if I have 40 videos, provided that I maintain the quality, I will not have 1,000 subscribers per week. It'll probably be 2,000 per week or a lot more because it gets compounded, right? Just like your money in your savings account. See, if you calculate your earned value based on your execution, then you'll get confused. I mean, think of it this way. I'm still putting out about one video per week, right? But it all of a sudden just became exponential, right? So that's how most projects are in real life. Okay, sorry to have taken your time. I digressed a little bit there. So the key takeaway is, whatever your project is, don't quit just because you don't see the results now. They will come. And when they do, they will come like that. Okay? Let's do closing. Let's close this project. Now, we finished the product, right? The end result. We have the boat. It's completely finished. But is the project finished? I mean, the product is finished, but the project? No, it's not. Not yet. There's still some work to be done. Not much, but we still have to do certain things. And mostly boring admin work. So what do we do now? Well, what you do is, well, it's actually really customizable to the needs and the complexity of your project. But in general, what I'm going to share with you are good starting points. One, we handed over the end product to the client. If it's a project you did for a client, right? You need to basically get a sign off from the client that says, okay, I received the possession of this item, and then they sign it off. And then you finish procurements, meaning you need to make the final payments and complete your cost records. And then you need to gather your final lessons learned. This is basically documenting what went wrong and what did we learn from it. I mean, you probably can't see it when I show the boat, but this boat isn't perfect. The bow of the boat is actually not straight. It's leaning towards the port side, the left side. So yeah, a few lessons learned there. And then the fourth item to do is you release resources. Let your team members go back to their own teams. And then finally, you go celebrate. Congratulations. Thanks for being with me the past 1 hour. I hope you benefited from this video. And